Hello and welcome to the Eye on the U podcast, the Miami Herald's Miami Hurricanes podcast. I'm David Wilson. I'm joined, as always, on the other line by Susan Miller Degnan, our Hurricanes football beat writer here at the Herald. But this week we are also joined by Michelle Kaufman, our Hurricanes basketball beat writer here at the Herald. A lot to talk about this time of year. Obviously, there's a lot of basketball to get to. The women are playing today in the ACC tournament, so we won't touch on that really because it could be out of date, I guess, depending what happens in that game. Men obviously going for ACC title this weekend against Pittsburgh. Incredible season. We will definitely, I'm not sure if we'll get into them a ton specifically this week. We'll definitely come back, bring you back in a couple of weeks as we get a little closer to the tournament. But Michelle, you're on this week. Mostly we want to talk to you about the NCAA investigation in Miami, the athletic department going on probation over the NCAA's findings / decision on Miami's recruitment of the Cavender twins and John Ruiz's involvement. Michelle, you obviously were covering that story at the end of last week. So why don't you really quickly just kind of like give us the primer, the details, and then we'll talk about what this means for the athletic department as a whole and kind of specifically the basketball programs.
Yeah, it really only affects the women's basketball program. It's really a minor, it's a level 2 penalty. It's a level 2 transgression. It took 4 months for them they dug around for 4 months. And this is the big thing that they unearthed was that Katie Meyer what happened was real quickly is that John Ruiz was trying to get a hold of the Cavender twins. You know, the Cavender twins have 4 million TikTok followers. They're obviously social media phenoms. He was trying to get a hold of them when he heard that they were being recruited here. And, they were not answering his calls or they weren't able to make the meeting set up. So he met Katie. It just so happens there was an event on campus for donors and coaches and school administrators. They had a function, a social function, and Katie Meyer met John Ruiz for the first time at that event in April. And he mentioned to her, that he was trying to get a hold of the twins and that he had called the agent or whatever. And so anyway, the twins are very, very selective about who they speak to, and they have an agent, they have an attorney, their parents are involved. And, they were maybe a little bit reluctant to talk to somebody or talk to him. So Katie told one of her assistants to let them know, sent a text saying, let them know that he is a legit booster and it's okay for them to talk to him. And then she told him, I passed along the message and, they're going to get hold of you through their agent. And that's it.
And they were
that's all it is.
Michelle,
they had already decided they were coming here. They were already going to transfer here. And so, they had already made that decision. Also, they are millionaires. They literally are millionaires. So, the fact that the NCAA decided to drop sanctions because Katie Meyer helped facilitate a meeting between 2 millionaires and a booster, it's kind of silly, my opinion, really silly. But anyway, what it comes down to, it was a level 2, which means 1 year of probation, a $5,000 fine plus 1% of the women's basketball budget, 7% reduction of official visits, this coming year, 9 recruiting in-person days off for this coming year. And then the 3-game suspension, which was 10% of the beginning of the year. She already served at the beginning of the season.
Michelle, when you're done, I have to make a comment though. For NCAA, because I was involved a little bit in this story too, and I know John Ruiz. And for the NCAA to, they're saying 4-month investigation, fine, okay, except, or maybe it was with the or something, but they came in June.
Yeah, I was going to say, we know they've been poking around almost a year ago.
I wrote a story in June 2022, obviously, that the NCAA, more than one person was on campus interviewing John Ruiz, and he volunteered to be interviewed. I mean, he didn't have to say yes. He's not, whatever. And so he talked, and exactly. So And then the other thing, so they've been chipping away at this. The other thing that's interesting, Michelle, that you told me that we really we didn't really explain it in the story, is that the NCAA, I think, UM put out a statement that the UM athletic department was on probation, I think, right? For something like that, or was
but that's only because it was a negotiated settlement.
Right.
Yeah, it's only because the wording, that's semantics. It was a negotiated. It's not that the NCAA was dropping this sanction. It was officially a negotiated agreement between UM and the NCAA. And so UM, as the entity that was negotiating this agreement, UM as an entity is on probation for 1 year. But it's really the women's basketball team that's on probation.
Right. But the one thing, and that's good, because I don't think a lot of people know that really, that maybe that's the weeds. But the other thing is, I think the negotiation part, I think, excuse me, the NCAA really wanted to disassociate with John Ruiz, as a booster or whatever. Yeah, of course, he gives a ton of money to different programs in athletics as a whole.
Also hilarious that he wanted to not be classified as a booster. I don't understand how that.
Well, no, David. No, David. Oh, wait, David. He said he told me, and that's in the story. Actually, he said, as far as all of athletics and him giving zillions of dollars, a lot of money. Yes, he's a booster. He knows. But as far as this.
Right, in this instance,
that night, or he's saying, I'm not saying it, he's saying he wasn't, and and that he wasn't trying to entice them to come because they had already decided to come. Right. But I think the NCAA would have liked to disassociate itself, or to say something with John Ruiz in the whatever agreement they had, and UM's not dumb enough to do that. I mean, John Ruiz has been very beneficial for the program in a lot of ways. Now, okay. Now, in the end, I can't look at the future. So,
well, he drew attention, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, that's what this
tweeted out.
Right, that's what this whole thing comes down to.
They would have never even known about it. We would not even be discussing this. The reason that the red flag was raised is that he posted a picture on Twitter and is boasting every day about the dollar figures that he's paying these players. And, that picture with the Cavender twins at his house before they had officially signed with UM, that is what raised the flag. Had he not posted that picture, we wouldn't even be having this conversation.
Right. But you're not saying, I know, Michelle, that you're not seriously, that you're not saying it's okay if you do something, wink, wink, that's not kosher.
No, I'm just saying that happens.
It's okay if you don't post it.
I'm saying it's the world of NIL right now.
Right. That's what this larger story is.
The larger story is that these athletes are not amateurs anymore. The rules need to change. And that's the column that I wrote.
Yeah.
You cannot keep policing college athletes when they are literally signing $1 million contracts, $1 million contracts.
You could go to any major program around the country, and Miami's included in this. Everyone is technically breaking the rules that exist, but the rules are so vague and so
unenforceable.
And they're different with each state.
And they're different with each state, and they're unenforceable because there's no one signed. There's no uniform paperwork anyone signs with NIL. There can be handshake agreements. There can be verbal agreements. So those are the rules that are like the rules of like the pay for play, which is the original thing that was, they wanted to not. That was the one thing they wanted not to happen, was they didn't want pay for play. They didn't want guys to come specifically because they had this offer of X
right. But the truth is,
that's happening everywhere. That's happening in Miami. That's happening
silly.
everywhere.
I mean, athletes know which schools are giving money,
right?
And when they're deciding which school they're going to go to, it's
right.
Like, I don't know about how much money anyone's giving. No, I'm going to go to that school, and then I'll find out.
So that is all unenforceable. Basically,
totally.
And so this is the one thing they could kind of get where they were like, all right, this is a very minor violation, but we can prove it, basically.
Yeah. And they wanted to just say, hey, we're watching. Because
technically the coaches are not supposed to link people up with,
at all.
But I know that happens at schools everywhere. Like I know other ACC programs, just talking to recruits in football and stuff. I know other programs do that, but they're not those boosters aren't putting it on social media and making
exactly. And how do the boosters?
If there wasn't
if there wasn't any communication with any of the coaches, how would the boosters know who they're recruiting? I mean, this is all public information. Everybody knows, everybody's talking. And again, we're talking about athletes that are making thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds, thousands, and millions of dollars.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's silly to say that a coach cannot, send a text telling a student athlete that booster is a legitimate booster of that program. That's all she did. That's all Katie did.
The dumbest, like the least important thing in all the rules they have is this little detail. And honestly, probably the one that benefits the athletes the most, because if Katie Meyer is vouching for someone, like
exactly,
that means something more than just you walk out of the building and a guy's standing there with a
well,
bag
that's
of
the
cash
thing.
for
They were reluctant.
So,
they were reluctant. The
right.
Twins were reluctant, and their coach, was trying to help and
like
saying,
this is the one rule that probably should not exist.
Yeah, your coach is telling you, I can vouch for this guy. He's a legitimate booster, and feel free to talk to him. He's not some Yahoo off the street, So they don't know him. They're coming from Fresno State. They have no idea. They're being bombarded by all these people they don't know. And so if your coach says, hey, this guy's okay, you can talk to him. That's all that happened. That's literally all that happened. So,
So we'll see. I mean, it's interesting. We're talking about this on the same day or the day after the new NCAA president began, and that was the first talking point of his intro media availability was obviously about NIL. It's the toughest. It doesn't seem like he's coming in with a ton of knows exactly what changes are going to be made, but at least he knows changes need to be made, and we'll see. I mean, the rules that exist today, I would kind of be shocked if they exist in the same manner at all this time next year.
Hey, guys,
it's such a changing landscape, obviously.
When this happened, when this first it was in July. It was 2 years ago that NIL
2021. July 2021.
July 1st, 2021.
Okay, I just have to say, remember when we were writing those stories? And
it was Derek King, college hunks hauling junk.
Yeah, and I know Michelle was writing that there are women, that are getting a lot of money, but mostly we were writing about kids getting $1,000 a month.
Yeah,
and stuff like that. It's really progressed, I guess. I don't know. It's really changed a little. So
well, the barn door is open. The barn door is flung open now, and the idea of paying the guys behind or paying athletes, men or women, under the table. Now it's above the table. It's all above the table now. The money's just being exchanging hands above the table with agents involved. The athletes have agents, for God's sake.
Michelle,
it was the Wild West is a cliche, but there are no rules.
It's the Wild West.
There's no rules. There are no rules.
That's true, but I have to say that there's no doubt that a ton of college athletic programs that these kids, how can they not be getting recruited through NIL? They are. I'm not saying that UM is doing it. I'm sure there are programs that are, like Michelle would say, through back doors, making sure that the big money goes to players they really want.
It's not even hard, because if you're just talking to a guy, the NCAA is not checking every athlete's cell phone records to see who they're talking to. Very easy to just at any school to have a booster call you, not a booster, but an NIL guy call you while you're getting recruited and
say, hey, if you go to this school, you're going to get this.
That's what I'm saying. It's unenforceable.
If you come here, there's this businessman here who has a bank, and you're going to be representing the bank and doing.
Hey, that businessman can call you and say, if you come here, we're going to give you $2 million, and that's technically against the rules, but it's unenforceable. There's no way to prove it unless you're. And again, John Ruiz hasn't done this exactly, although he's gotten close a couple times of saying. I think really he has pushed the pay for play component of this more brazenly than anyone else.
Yeah.
Or flirted with that line, I think, more brazenly than anyone else, but. Unless you're putting it out on Twitter, the dollar figures are all unknown. The specific deals are all unknown. If you do it all behind the scenes and just on your own in private, the NCAA can't do anything about it.
And by the way, one of the Cavender twins, Haley, I don't know which one it was, but tweeted that. Michelle, you saw it. Tweeted.
Yeah, Haley. Haley. Yeah, she did she posted kind of a. I don't want to say a middle finger, but mocking the NCAA. Yeah.
And that tweet got I don't know, did it get over 1 million? It got a lot of
Yeah, because I think everybody,
News.
most people agree with that the NCAA needs to join the 21st century,
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Michelle, before we let you go, we'll stay away from the women's team because we don't know what's going to happen tonight, but the men playing Pittsburgh this weekend, chance to win the ACC. How confident are you feeling in the Canes this weekend?
Well, coming off what they did against FSU, I think that was definitely, and sounds cliche, but a wake-up call. I mean, they were leading by 25 points and they squandered a 25-point lead. I don't see them doing that again. There's a lot on the line. It's at home. It's senior day. The place is sold out. It's the first official sellout of the season, I believe. So the place is going to be rocking. And I think, for the season finale, senior day at home with the ACC regular season title on the line. And, now Pitt's going to be hungry too, because they're coming off a loss. They lost to Notre Dame. So both teams are going to be hungry, but Miami has done so well at home up until this last week. They were 15-0 at home. So I feel pretty confident that Miami will win this game.
All right. Michelle, we'll have to get you back on next week or the week after to talk and ACC/NCAA tournament. You can follow, until then, you can follow Michelle on Twitter at Kauf Sports. We will, and obviously check out the Miami Herald for all of her coverage of the University of Miami, her weekly columns, what that goes up every Wednesday, your column. Obviously soccer season is underway too. So MLS, you're very busy this time of year. Thanks for taking some time to talk to us. And we're going to take a quick break, and then Susan and I will be back to do a quick spring football preview.
Perfect. Susan, I like your haircut too, by the way.
Really? Thanks.
Yes. All right. Talk to you guys later.
Thanks for doing this.
All right. Bye-bye.
See ya.
David?
Yeah.
That was great.
Perfect.
How many minutes?
I have no idea. What time do we start?
Damn. All right.
Probably 15, I would guess.
At least 15. Good. I don't want too much.
Oh, wait, 20. Yeah, we'll get the thing. So, all right. I'm going to take a quick pause just so I know where the gap is, and then I will start. Okay, we are back for a spring football preview. Miami kicks off its spring practice schedule Saturday. It'll be, I mean, last year was obviously the most interesting spring. Like anytime there's a new head coach, that is very interesting. This one kind of like, I think we talked about this off mics last week. It's like the restart, right? It's like
2.0,
a do-over. It's very, very fresh again. So we're gonna do our usual thing. We're gonna do the five questions we have, 5 things we got an eye on, however you want to phrase it. We should come up with a catchy name for this segment because we do it enough. But how about our 5 biggest questions going into spring?
How about Mario Cristobal 2.0?
The Mario Crystal Wall.
The spring 2.0, the second, let's do it again.
Okay. Number 1 I got on this list is how much difference is the offense going to look? Obviously 2 new coordinators. I'm interested to see the defense. The defense, it seemed like Mario was like you can only change so much on defense. The offense is the big question because they go from not a pro style, but a more traditional bunch set, a lot of bunch formations, power spread was what they call it, to Shannon Dawson coming from the Hal Mummy air raid coaching tree, obviously coach for Dana Holgerson at Houston, another air raid guy. I'm fascinated. Just you can only see so much in spring, as we say a lot. Obviously, until the spring game, I think you get a decent sense by the spring game, but only get so much from seeing guys throw on air. But it has a chance to be such a dramatic shift. That's got to be the number 1 storyline going into training camp to me.
Yeah, I think so. I think the number 1 story is even broader. I think it's
it's the wholesale change, right?
Yes,
but
for me, it's like second year wholesale change again.
Yeah, well, kind of all 5 of these things we're going to talk about all fit into that one larger story. So yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah. But that's what I'm mostly.
Yeah.
That's what I'm mostly looking. It's just like last year. What's the atmosphere going to be like? What? Yes, There's going to be the offenses. I'm excited actually about a new offense. Definitely. and you know that there's going to be a lot of enthusiasm and, you know, screaming happily and, you know, being gung-ho, rah, rah, rah. And, you know, with the coaches, they're going to be loud again. I swear it is going to be like a do-over from last year in the beginning. But, you know, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. They're not going to show us anything. First of all, in the beginning, I think it's the first 3 days you're not allowed to.
Yeah, no pads.
No pads. I mean, they gradually add the pads, but there's no contact for sure. And it's just shorts and I think like jerseys with no pads at all the first time. I think there's like, I don't know, they don't even have shells. But you know, David, the thing is, there's not a lot of, you know, the wide receivers are kind of like the same. A lot of them. I know there's a couple of new ones. I know we're going to talk about that, but you know, to me, it's like, or you know, when's the wide receiver? Wait, this is like a broken record. Sorry, when's the wide receiver?
When's the wide receiver going to step up?
Yeah. When are they? Are we going to see some like a really special, incredible? I was hoping Colby Young. I know we're going to. I'm hoping he could be. But it's exciting for sure to see Dawson. I'm really psyched that there's a new. Sorry, Josh, but a new offensive
coordinator. Well, and the reason I don't even have defense, like how different is the defense going to look. I don't even have that as one of our 5 questions because there's only so much you can see in the spring. But the reason this one specifically is so interesting to me is because an air raid, and he doesn't run strictly air raid, but an air raid is such a it's like switching from something to a triple option. It's its own, I'm not quite that extreme, obviously, but like it's such a unique type of offense that doesn't look a lot like anything else. So I think we could see, you know, we might get a sense actually of how different this offense is going to look because it's just because it's such an extreme shift from one. Not all the way at one pole to the other pole, but you're definitely going from one end of the spectrum of like what an offensive philosophy can be to pretty far on the other end.
Yeah, and I think we can kind of go right into whatever your second.
Yeah, question. My number 2 is how much we're going to see Tyler Van Dyke. We've talked a lot about like as the last season came to an end, and obviously as some of the coaching changes started to happen, is like Tyler obviously missed a lot of time last year.
Yes, he did.
That shoulder. I think for a while you were of the thought that is he even going to play in the spring? I think when you make some coaching changes, you have to throw out a little bit more of that caution that an established quarterback that you would usually take with an established quarterback like Tyler Van Dyke, where there's not a competition and you know he's going to be the guy. So I'm just interested, is he going to be a full participant? Obviously quarterbacks never get hit, so
and
that can be a full participant and not 100% in a way that like a running back would have to be a full participant, but I'm it's a shoulder injury, right, that can linger. I'm interested to see what we're going to see from Tyler Van Dyke.
I'm interested in seeing that. He'll be there.
I would guess. I mean, assuming an injury, he'll play in the spring game, like I would think,
but he did not have surgery. I know that. And, you know, but he had it was not good.
And he kept it was multiple injuries.
There were ligaments involved.
Whether it was the same injury both times, it was the shoulder both times. And
they're going to be really careful about him. He'll throw, and I think, you know, God help, I should say, any player who mistakenly bumps into him. Okay. I mean, so that's what they have to be careful about. They really have to be careful, I think, in my opinion. I know it's football and all that, but they really have to protect him this spring. And maybe I'm thinking maybe he'll be a little limited.
It's like we said, quarterback is different, right? Because like you can be limited. Like, what does limited even mean for a quarterback, right? Like,
they're going to have them. We know how it is, David. They start out, they all throw, however they're little. Although it'll be interesting to see the drills they do. By the way, that's going to be interesting too. I mean, it might be a little different, right? With Dawson.
I mean, maybe he'll get a day off here and there, right? I mean, they're able to spread out the practices pretty nicely. They're going usually a Saturday, Wednesday,
Tuesday. They're doing like Tuesdays, Thursdays, and
Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. So they never have back-to-back practice days, but maybe every once in a while he'll get a Thursday off or something.
But they'll have they'll have certain drills, just like Josh Gaddis did certain drills with the receivers. And by the way, we have a new receivers coach, Kevin Beard. But
I guess we didn't even talk about. There's a lot to talk about this week. So
I mean, there's like too much news. But Kevin Beard is now the receivers coach. So former Cane, he's been a Cane all along, really.
Yeah,
the guy loves this program. Anyway, national championship team receiver, nicest guy in the world. I mean, nicest guy, just a good person. God, I hated when they fired him last time. Mark Richt, I did all my research. I wrote the story. Mark Richt took Dugan.
Ron Dugan. Yep.
Yeah, instead, and that's okay. He didn't.
Ron Dugan still, he's still coaching at Florida State. Like he's obviously eminently qualified.
Exactly. Whatever. And Ron Dugan was a great guy too. I'm so happy he's back because I know Kevin really didn't want to leave.
Yeah.
I know he wanted to be here. This is his place, his family's here. So, well, all I'm saying is within the offense, and by the way, we have a new running backs coach.
Yeah, well, it's actually that'll move us to number 3. I'm excited to see who the coaches are. They technically haven't announced any of these hires. We know Tim Harris Jr.
Even though they haven't announced it.
We haven't announced any of these. We know Kevin Beard is a new wide receivers coach. We actually don't know who the new defensive ends coach is. Although, by
the way, David, we don't know. We don't know for sure that Kevin Beard. It's kind of funny. It's like that UM has not. The only thing UM has made official in quotes is the offensive coordinator Dawson, the defensive coordinator Lance Guidry. And they also made official the inside linebackers coach Derek Nicholson, which of course takes me on another tangent. But let's talk about. Go ahead, the running back.
Obviously, Tim Harris Jr. coming in as the running backs coach. We'll get our first look at him. I would assume on Saturday, son of legendary Booker T. Washington coach Tim Ice Harris,
right?
Another guy who has been in the Miami program before, right? He was he?
Cane.
Yeah, he was a Cane. Okay. Was he? He was a GA or something too at some point, wasn't he? At Miami, I think he was in the pro. Either way, another Cane.
And the point is, he was a star track. He was a star runner,
track star. Yep.
By the way, David, and here's another God, there's so much to talk about off this, but Tim was very big. He was an Olympic trials guy in the 800 meters. Tim Harris Jr. He's very big on track and field. And the old Canes, the old formerly, Santana Moss, all the big stars were track and field guys. And Amy Deem loved that, the director of track and field. They were very big, and this program kind of stopped doing that. So I'm wondering if they'll go back to it. But go ahead.
Anyway, so you touched on Kevin Beard, another former Cane coming back. Defensive ends coach remains open. We think there's a pretty decent chance it could be Jason Taylor getting promoted.
And by the way, I think Jason is going to take the job. We're just being careful. I mean,
we don't know for sure.
That story could come out any minute, but I think he will. But you got to be careful if you're Miami Herald and write, for sure he's taking it. We'll see what happens. It could happen any minute. But Jason, what's interesting to me is Derek Nicholson was named
linebackers coach.
Inside linebackers. ILB, yes. The inside linebackers from UM. He's one of the guys that officially were named.
Yep.
So he was named that. Okay, before Charlie Strong was just the linebackers.
And obviously Joe Salavea is the defensive
line
coach.
So here's the thing.
And Rod Wright was the defensive ends coach.
Right. Rod Wright.
Salavea really worked with the tackles, basically.
So here's the thing. Probably when Jason is announced or we write that he's taken that job. I figure we keep saying defensive ends coach, that he would be the defensive ends / outside linebackers. They've already named an inside linebackers coach.
Yeah.
And or maybe they'll call him something like I don't know, pass rush special.
Yeah, exactly. Like he'll have some title where he's working with all the guys, which, Rod Wright kind of had that too.
Maybe
Stand-up
they'll say,
guys and deep.
I don't know what they'll call him, but he's going to got the guys rushing the quarterback. He's going to be in charge. So
not a bad guy to have coaching that. Yeah.
But by the way, I'm very excited about that too. If he takes the job, I'm really psyched about. I don't know Lance Guidry at all, but
the rest of the guys are all pretty exciting, local ties, all that kind of stuff too.
I love Kevin Steele. Okay, but he's in Alabama, so
okay. Next one I got on here, and this kind of goes back to what you said at the beginning, like they got a lot of changes with transfers and coaches. Like Mario is a big personality, but like you said, you want to see like what that energy is like. I'm curious if there will be a culture change, might not be the right word. It's the phrase I put down, but like, I'm just interested to see how much different the kind of feel is, the excitement, the energy, the routines at practice, right? Like, Mario Cristobal, with a lot of the moves he made this summer, it was kind of like a tacit acknowledgement that what happened last year was not working. And obviously a lot of that is scheme stuff, but some of that could be coaching or like culture and personality and freedom for your assistant coaches, all that kind of stuff too. So that'll be pretty interesting to watch. It's a hard one to quantify, but it's something you get a feel from being out there and watching practice, which we should say we didn't watch a lot of practice during the fall. So it's a little hard to judge, but we did see the spring obviously last year, and we'll be able to kind of compare and contrast.
And they'll be all psyched up, like I said. They're going to be all pumped up, and they should be. They're excited to get out there. The new coaches are excited to make a difference. So
and they've got some really exciting transfers. I mean, I'm not talking much about the offensive line here, but getting Javion Cohen in and Matt Lee, the center from UCF, like they got some big time transfers at some really important spots. Even if you mentioned wide receiver, like there's a couple of spots where you maybe would have liked them to see get a little more aggressive, but they found some good pieces there. Last one I got, it's kind of weird, but it was our fifth one here because the first chance to see some freshmen. Anyone you're really excited about? Which freshmen are going to pop out here?
Yeah, is Francis here? Francis?
Yep, Francis is here. Francis Mongoa.
I want to see him for sure. Right, the number one, or depending on which recruiting site.
It'll be interesting to see if he's like competing for a starting. I mean, it's probably early, but
I think Francis Mongoa, if I'm saying it right, 6'5", 330 pounds, if that's true, and Samson Okunlola, also one of the top tackles in the nation. Really psyched to see them. I'm psyched to see Ruben Bain. These guys. I don't know them as well. Ruben Bain, right? Defensive end. I'm excited to see him. Jaden Wayne. There's I don't know. There's
and a couple of these, and always some of these guys wind up not playing because they had injury in high school that they wait till they get to college to get surgery on it because pay for it. Like I think Jaden Wayne, I know he was hurt. I'm not sure if he's going to be.
That's a good point, David. We're going to get, hopefully that would be helpful. Get a piece of paper listing like 25 people that can play or whatever. And our Barry Jackson reported already, let's see, that James Williams is out because I think he had shoulder surgery, something like that. So there's going to be a lot of people that are limited, or we see out there, they don't really do anything.
Yeah.
A lot of times it's the offensive linemen. How about Zion Nelson?
Yeah, I mean, we haven't seen him
he's not new, but he feels new.
Yeah, we haven't seen him in a long time.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see him. I'm excited. I'll throw out one other name. Obviously, like you mentioned, the linemen are exciting. I think Nathaniel Joseph, who's the top ranked receiver coming in, like you talked about receiver, that's just going to be an important one to watch. But the one I'm excited to see is Collins Eshiampong, another guy who I know was hurt last year. So we'll see, but 6'7", 254, defensive lineman. Like I'm just excited to see what that looks like in person. Yeah. Like it's Greg Rousseau-esque, and a guy like that, you saw him once on a college practice field, and you're like, oh, that guy belongs here. Sometimes it takes freshmen some time to look like they belong. He seems like a guy who might look like he belongs, even if he's not practicing, even if he's just hanging out and watching practice. I'm just excited to see him in person.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I'm kind of psyched for practice.
Yeah, I love spring football. You usually get to see a little bit more. We'll see. It's always more laid back, right? People hanging around, alumni hanging around, local coaches, high school coaches and stuff hanging around. It's always fun, and there'll be a junior day this weekend too, so it'll be a busy weekend in Coral Gables. But we will finish things up there. We'll be back next week to recap the first week, basically, yeah, the first week of spring practice, I guess. Maybe we'll be back in the Susan Miller Degnan roaming Herald office next week.
Oh, that'll be fun.
Yeah.
And then
Until then,
we're gonna get disconnected, everybody.
Yeah,
But there is after next, we have 3 days of practice, Saturday, Tuesday, and Thursday, and then goes on spring break. So
yeah. So until then, follow Susan on Twitter at @smillerdegnan. Follow me on Twitter at dbwilson2, and we will talk to you guys next week.
bye-bye.